Hello, everyone. Today I want to share a story with you. It's a story about how good things take time. Sometimes we want things to happen fast. We wish for things to be easy, quick, and right now. But the truth is, the best things in life take time. They need patience, care, and a lot of hard work. This story is not just about waiting, but also about believing. Believing that even if we can't see the results right away, they will come. I hope this story will touch your heart and show you the beauty of patience. Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a young girl named Emma. Emma was always in a hurry. She wanted everything fast. If she planted a seed, she wanted the flower to bloom the next day. If she started a painting, she wanted it finished in an hour. She didn't like waiting, not even for a moment. Emma thought that waiting was a waste of time. One day, Emma's grandfather saw her frustration. He was a wise old man who had seen many seasons come and go. He knew that the best things in life took time. He decided to teach Emma a lesson she would never forget. So, he called her over and handed her a small seed. "This is a very special seed," he said, "but you must be patient. It will only grow if you give it time." Emma took the seed and planted it in the garden. She watered it every day, expecting it to sprout quickly. But days passed and nothing happened. Emma grew impatient. "Grandfather, why isn't it growing?" she asked. Her grandfather smiled and said, "Good things take time, my dear. You must keep caring for it, even when you can't see any change." Emma wanted to give up, but she remembered her grandfather's words. So she kept watering the seed. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Still, there was no sign of life. Emma felt like her efforts were pointless, but she kept going, trusting her grandfather's wisdom. She started to learn the value of patience. One morning, after many months, Emma went to the garden as usual. To her surprise, she saw a tiny green shoot poking through the soil. Her heart filled with joy. It wasn't much, but it was a sign that her patience was paying off. Emma continued to care for the plant, and it grew stronger every day. Over time, it blossomed into a beautiful flower, more stunning than any she had ever seen. The flower became the talk of the village. Everyone admired it, but only Emma knew how much patience it took to grow it. She realized that if she had given up, she would never have seen the beauty that took so long to reveal itself. Emma learned that good things, the best things, take time. They can't be rushed. They require patience, love, and trust in the process. Years later, Emma became known in the village for her beautiful garden. Each plant, each flower, told a story of patience and care. People came from far and wide to see her garden, and they would ask her how she did it. Emma would smile and say, "Good things take time. You just have to believe and keep going, even when you can't see the results." But this is not the end of the story. One day, a young boy came to Emma, looking sad and lost. His name was Leo, and he had lost something very dear to him. His pet dog, Max, had run away. Leo was heartbroken. Max had been his best friend, his companion. Emma saw the pain in Leo's eyes and knew that only time could heal it. Leo searched for Max everywhere. He called out his name, put up posters, and asked everyone in the village if they had seen him. But days turned into weeks, and Max was still nowhere to be found. Leo began to lose hope. He felt like he would never see his beloved dog again. Emma saw this and decided to help Leo understand what she had learned. "Leo," Emma said softly, "I know it's hard to wait, but sometimes we have to be patient. Max will come back when the time is right. You have to believe in that." Leo didn't want to hear it. He wanted Max back right now. But deep down he knew Emma was right. He had to wait, even though it was the hardest thing to do. Weeks turned into months, and still no sign of Max. Leo's hope began to fade. He cried every night, missing his friend. But Emma stayed by his side, reminding him that good things take time. She shared stories of her garden, how each plant took months to grow, but the wait was worth it. Leo listened, but his heart was heavy with sadness. One stormy night, there was a knock at Leo's door. He opened it to find Max, soaking wet and shivering, but alive and safe. Leo couldn't believe his eyes. He hugged Max tightly, tears streaming down his face. He had waited so long, and now, here was his best friend, back in his arms. Leo realized that Emma was right. Waiting had been painful, but the joy of seeing Max again was worth every tear. Emma smiled as she watched Leo and Max reunite. She knew that the lesson of patience was a hard one, but it was a lesson worth learning. Leo thanked Emma for her kindness and wisdom. He promised to remember that good things take time, just like Emma had taught him. From that day on, Leo and Max were inseparable, their bond stronger than ever. As time went on, Leo grew up, and he never forgot the lesson Emma had taught him. He faced many challenges in life, but he always remembered to be patient. He knew that good things took time, and he was willing to wait for them. And every time he visited Emma's garden, he would smile, knowing that the most beautiful things in life are those that take time to grow. Many years later, when Emma was old and her garden was even more beautiful than before, she looked back on her life with a sense of peace. She knew that she had lived a life full of patience and love. She had seen the fruits of her labor, not just in her garden, but in the lives of those she had touched. She had taught them that good things take time, and that lesson had made a difference. As Emma sat in her garden one last time, surrounded by the beauty she had nurtured for so many years, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She knew that she had left a legacy of patience and love. Her story was a story of hope, of believing in the process, and of understanding that the best things in life are worth waiting for. And so, my dear friends, remember this: good things take time. Don't rush the process. Whether it's growing a beautiful garden, finding a lost friend, or achieving your dreams, be patient. Trust that with time, love, and care, the most beautiful things will come to you. Keep going, even when it's hard, even when you can't see the results, because in the end, the wait will be worth it. Hello, dear. Welcome to Smart English Stories. I hope you all are fine and doing well. Today in this video, I am going to explain about best topics to learn English so that you can improve your listening skills and enhance your pronunciation skills. We can improve our English with such beautiful topics. Let's listen these topics to improve your English speaking skills. Hello everyone, I am very happy to see you all today. I hope you are ready to listen to a story. This story is about a trip I took to a big and beautiful city called London. It was a very special trip, and I had many feelings in my heart. I will tell you everything that happened, and maybe, by the end of the story, you might feel some of the feelings I felt too. The day I decided to go to London, I was very excited. My heart was beating fast because I had always wanted to visit this city. I had heard so much about it, and now I was going to see it with my own eyes. The morning was bright and full of hope, and I felt like something very important was about to happen in my life. I packed my bags carefully, making sure I had everything I needed: my clothes, my shoes, and a small book where I wrote down all my thoughts. I was ready for a new adventure. As I locked the door of my house, I felt a mix of happiness and a little sadness. I was leaving home, but I was going to a place I had always dreamed of. The journey to London was long, but I didn't mind. I looked out of the window of the train, watching the world pass by. The trees, the fields, and the small towns all looked so peaceful. I felt calm as I thought about what I would see and do in London. I was full of dreams and hopes. When I finally arrived in London, the first thing I noticed was how big everything was. The buildings were tall, and the streets were full of people. I felt small but also very curious. I wanted to see everything, to explore every corner of this new and exciting place. I took a deep breath and smiled, ready to start my adventure. I walked through the streets of London, my eyes wide open, taking in all the sights. The sounds of the city were new to me, and I loved the way it all felt so alive. There were people everywhere, talking, laughing, and going about their day. I felt like I was a part of something big and wonderful. As I walked, I saw many famous places. There was a big clock called Big Ben and a river called the Thames. I had seen pictures of these places before, but seeing them in real life was different. It felt like I was in a dream, and I didn't want to wake up. I took my time, enjoying every moment. But as I continued to explore, something unexpected happened. I met an old man sitting on a bench by the river. He looked sad, and something in his eyes made me want to talk to him. I sat down next to him and smiled. He looked at me and smiled back, but his smile was full of pain. The old man started to tell me his story. He had lived in London all his life. He had a family, a wife, and children. But as time passed, things changed. His wife passed away, and his children moved far away. He was alone now, sitting by the river, thinking about the life he once had. His voice was soft, and as he spoke, I could feel the sadness in his heart. I listened to him, feeling my own heart ache for him. I could see how much he missed his family, how lonely he was. He told me that he came to this bench every day, hoping to see someone he knew, but no one ever came. His days were long, and his nights were even longer. He had so many memories, but they were all in the past. As he spoke, tears came to my eyes. I could feel his pain as if it were my own. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat there, holding his hand. Sometimes there are no words that can make things better. All we can do is be there for each other, to listen and to care. The old man looked at me and smiled again, this time with a little more warmth. We sat together for a long time, just watching the river. The sun was setting, and the sky was turning pink and orange. It was a beautiful sight, but it was also a little sad. It made me think about how everything in life changes, how nothing stays the same. But even in the sadness, there was a kind of beauty. The beauty of memories, of love, that never really goes away. Eventually, I had to say goodbye to the old man. I promised him I would come back to visit him again, and he nodded. As I walked away, I felt a deep connection to him, a bond that was formed through shared emotions. I knew I would never forget him or the story he had shared with me. My trip to London was full of many more adventures, but meeting that old man was something I would always remember. It taught me that even in a big city like London, where everything is new and exciting, there is still room for simple human connections. It reminded me that we all have stories to tell, and sometimes those stories are full of sadness, but sharing them can bring a kind of peace. As I left London, my heart was full. I had seen so many wonderful things, but it was the people I met, the stories I heard, that stayed with me the most. I knew that I would come back to London someday, but even if I didn't, I would always carry a part of it with me. The city, with all its beauty and all its pain, had become a part of me. After leaving the old man by the river, I continued my walk through London. The city, with all its lights and sounds, felt both familiar and mysterious at the same time. As I wandered through the narrow streets, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this city, something hidden just beneath the surface. As the evening turned into night, the streets grew quieter. The busy crowds disappeared, leaving only the soft hum of distant traffic and the occasional sound of footsteps echoing through the empty alleys. I found myself drawn to a particular street that seemed darker and narrower than the others. It was as if the street was calling out to me, urging me to explore its secrets. I hesitated for a moment, unsure if I should continue. But the curiosity within me was too strong, so I took a deep breath and stepped into the shadows. The street was lined with old buildings, their windows dark and lifeless. It felt like I had stepped into a different world, one where time stood still and everything was forgotten. As I walked further down the street, I noticed a small light flickering in the distance. It was coming from a narrow doorway tucked between two tall buildings. The door was slightly ajar, and a faint, warm glow spilled out into the cold night. I could feel my heart beating faster as I approached the door. There was something about it that made me both excited and uneasy. I pushed the door open gently and stepped inside. The room was dimly lit, filled with the scent of old wood and burning candles. It looked like a small antique shop, with shelves lined with strange and curious objects. There were old books, dusty paintings, and trinkets that seemed to have come from faraway places. It was a place full of stories, each item holding a secret waiting to be discovered. As I wandered through the shop, I felt a strange sense of déjà vu, like I had been here before, even though I knew I hadn't. The air was thick with mystery, and I could feel a presence, as if someone or something was watching me. I turned around and there, in the corner of the room, was an old man. He was different from the man I had met earlier by the river. This man had sharp eyes that seemed to see right through me, and a face that was both kind and stern. He didn't say a word, but he gestured for me to come closer. I walked up to him, feeling a mix of fear and curiosity. The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn book. It was old, with a leather cover that was cracked and faded. He handed it to me, his eyes never leaving mine. I could feel the weight of the book in my hands, as if it was more than just paper and ink. It felt like it carried a story, a secret that was meant for me to uncover. I opened the book and saw that the pages were filled with handwriting, but the words were in a language I didn't understand. The letters were strange and unfamiliar, yet they seemed to speak to me in a way that was deeper than words. As I turned the pages, I noticed a small piece of paper tucked inside. It was an old photograph, yellowed with age. The photograph showed a young woman standing in front of a building that looked familiar. She had a gentle smile on her face, but her eyes were filled with sadness. I looked closer and realized that the building behind her was the same antique shop I was standing in. I felt a chill run down my spine as I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. The old man watched me closely, his expression unreadable. I wanted to ask him who the woman was, but before I could speak, he raised his hand as if to silence me. He pointed to the door, indicating that it was time for me to leave. I didn't understand why, but I felt that I had to obey. I nodded, clutching the book and the photograph tightly, and slowly backed out of the shop. As soon as I stepped outside, the door slammed shut behind me. I turned around, but the shop had vanished. The street was empty, and there was no sign of the doorway or the flickering light. I stood there, stunned and confused, holding the book and the photograph that now seemed like a piece of a puzzle I couldn't solve. I made my way back to my hotel, my mind racing with questions. Who was the woman in the photograph? What was the meaning of the strange language in the book? And why had the old man given it to me? I couldn't sleep that night, my thoughts consumed by the mystery I had stumbled upon. It felt like I had been drawn into something far bigger than I could understand, something that was meant to remain hidden. The next morning, I decided to return to the street where I had found the antique shop. I retraced my steps, walking through the same alleys and turning down the same narrow street. But when I arrived, the shop was gone. There was no trace of the old man, the doorway, or the light. It was as if it had never existed. I spent the rest of my time in London trying to make sense of what had happened. I visited libraries, museums, and old archives, searching for any clues that might explain the strange encounter. But no matter where I looked, I found nothing. The book and the photograph remained a mystery, their secrets locked away in a language I couldn't understand. As my trip to London came to an end, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been given a glimpse into a world that was hidden from most people. A world where the past and the present were intertwined, where memories and stories lived on in the shadows. I realized that not all mysteries are meant to be solved, and that some secrets are better left unexplored. On my last day in London, I stood by the river where I had met the old man. I thought about everything I had seen and heard during my time in the city. I thought about the people I had met, the stories I had been told, and the secrets I had uncovered. London had shown me a side of itself that few people ever see, a side that was filled with beauty, sadness, and mystery. As I watched the sun set over the city, I felt a sense of peace. I knew that I would never forget my time in London, and that the experiences I had there would stay with me forever. I had come to the city in search of adventure, and I had found so much more than I had ever expected. I had found a deeper connection to the world around me, a sense of wonder and awe that I would carry with me for the rest of my life. And so, I said goodbye to London, knowing that the city's secrets would always be a part of me. I returned home, my heart full of memories, my mind full of questions, and my soul forever changed by the journey I had taken.